aquila on the gate is flaking paint, two wings scabbed with rust, the beak bent where someone struck it with a pipe. My hands sweat inside the gloves, the wool itches, oil and salt. The crowd presses at the wire and our line presses back, buttstocks to ribs, muzzles pointed down because the order is clear. No fire without command. A priest is shouting and I can taste the hot iron in every word. By the third siren, our boots slide on the grit and the smoke sits in the back of my throat. The second wire bows, the loudhailer clears with a cough. We lock shields, not real shields, just plates bolted on, and the metal clacks in a rhythm we know. Sergeant Fisk knocks my elbow with two fingers, quick, precise. Keep your sight clear, keep your cheek weld, keep your eye on my hand. The routine keeps the thoughts from seeping in. I check the pack charge. A thumb across the indicator on the battery, the green strip shines through the grime. I pull the strap of the rebreather tighter around my bare cheek. It pinches, but it seals. My laser gun is clean. I know how she feels. The flat line of her stock across my shoulder blade. The heat inside her that still holds from earlier. Station 2. You're slacking, Fisk says. Not loud, not quiet. On me. No one under the wire. No one. You see the red tags, you put them left. You don't look at their faces. Red tags. The medici tent runs out of clean cloth 2 hours ago. Now the tags are strips of priest's robe, crimson with smoke, tied around wrists, tied around throats. The priest is up on a crate by the makeshift altar, a rusty engine block with a candle guttering on it, trying to find a pitch the Vox can carry. And behind him a black coat's rosette swings on a chain as he walks, as if the metal itself breathes. He doesn't need to shout. He says quarantine in the way someone says water in a desert and men turn. He says by this mark and touches the rosette to a young man's forehead, and the boy goes weak in the knees and we move forward because moving is what keeps the press from breaking. Hands up, I say, the words coming through the mask as a growl. I can hear my own breath more than I hear them. A woman in a charcoal veil tries to slip her child under the wire, pushing at the mesh with both hands while her shoulders quiver. I plant my boot on the metal where it starts to give and feel the bite through the sole. Not under the wire, I say. She looks at me like I am the wire. A cogboy kneels beside the gate, casing open, copper guts glistening in the grime. His face is shot with metal like lichen in a wound, and his hands are neat. No oil smeared where it shouldn't be, no blood unless it's already dried to black. He wants our pack, all of them, to feed something that hums and clicks to my right. You will surrender energy to the sanctioned cord, he says. Deprivation of voltage at this time is deviation and attracts malchance. He doesn't look at us when he speaks. He's pinning a red cable to the teeth of a clamp. I hand him 2 packs anyway. The hum deepens, throatier. We are 30 men on the eastern gate of a city of too many. The sky is a low lid of smoke and it makes everything close. The gate is low too. By Hive standards, the real gate is 30 levels down under the ground where the pipes are, but we don't see that. We see the wire in the immediate, and the soffit above the gate has been painted with the creed. The letters run with soot. The words gel, slow-moving, heavy. The light glances on the paint and the heat sticks to skin. A kid with a shaved head, the collar around her neck polished to shine, sits on the hood of Fisk's Chimera like a small bird that nested in a hand. Her eyes track the crowd. Every time she blinks, I see her eyelashes stick. Around her neck, the device hums. The chain bites her collarbone. She tap-taps it with one fingernail. The man next to her, the handler, smiles and murmurs and keeps his hand on the box that goes with her collar. Hez sweating. He smiles like he can't stop. I don't look too long. You're not supposed to look at sanctified. The third siren dies. The loudhailer coughs, and the black coat lifts the Rosetta fraction and the words come out like a door closing. By authority conferred and confirmed, he says. Quarantine is now absolute. Stand away from the wire. Medicae will examine. Left-hand cue for red tags. The crowd doesn't listen and then it does. Learning looks like muscle remembering pain. We maintain the lanes with body weight and fists and the steel bars we call persuaders. Fisk moves with that slouch he gets when he wants to look like he's not watching. He is always watching. He knows the moment before the bent-backed man will bolt, knows the angle the old woman's cane will come at our knees. He sees the boy with the brick looking for a gap and he steps into it without looking like he took a step. A woman's scarf tangles around my pack. She's pleading. It sounds like a dog coughing. The words are nothing. I flick the scarf down with my bayonet. The blade presses between finger and string and the fabric parts, and she is still holding half of it, clutching. A red strip in her hand like blood and cloth have the same heat. Left, I say. Show your hands. Fisk's hand is up. Move, haul, push. We have orders. The words sit on the tongue like something you've chewed too long. Hold the gate. Don't shoot. Keep the lines. Red tags left. Blue stamps through, one per family. Family means whoever you can touch, no more. Fisk told us to say no more without saying no more. You say it with your body. You say it with where you point. It works better when the priest keeps his rhythm. We do it. It's what we were made to do. My hands know the measure. Slap a hand, turn a shoulder. Don't look into eyes for more than a heartbeat. And the forward pressure lets me forget the ones behind. The march step in place makes my calves burn and the world narrow to the width of the wire. Bottles burst against the plates with soft meat sounds. Sugar or sand in bottles makes little sparkles when they hit. The shards patter off the plates and skin. A bottle pops near my ear and the sugar goes inside my collar and I want to claw it out, but my hands stay where they are because my rifle is in them. Packs, the cogboy barks. Unit 3rd, supply 2. His voice has no skin on it. I unclip the empty and pass it to him. He doesn't smell like oil, he smells like copper in the lungs. He clips, hums, his mouth moving with numbers like a litany, and the machine he's nursing spits a thin line of blue light into the grime around its base, and the blue light crawls toward the wire like a worm lost from the soil. The heat lifts and drops against my chest. Thank you for your blessed compliance, he says without turning. He plugs what we gave him into a box. Somewhere behind us, a light brightens beyond seeing. The noise the machine makes builds a second rhythm under the priest's words. On the 3rd hour, the medicae hands change. The men in white coats are gray. They're smiling or scowling, and it means the same thing now. The red tags don't stay red, they go brown. The sound behind the partition is wet, like cloth soaking in a heavy bowl. A girl disappears behind the tarp and doesn't come out. The tarp breathes, pulls in. I pushes out. The thing about the truth is it doesn't come like a shot, it comes like a weight. It presses until you begin to change shape. It presses until you look different holding the same rifle. We take a man down who tries to go over. I do it with my forearm in his throat and he bites, teeth scraping the leather, and I feel the pressure more than the pain. My thigh muscles knot as I lift him and put him back where the line wants him to be. He's strong. He's filthy. His fingernails have little moons of black under them. He tries to spit, but he has no spit left. Fisk leans over and breathes the words into my ear. Don't look, he says, and I don't, and when I stand again, I realize he has put a red strip around the man's wrist with a neat, dry knot. He did it without looking like his hands moved. By this sign, the black coat says, I'm touching the rosette to the forehead of a mother who steps forward. She's not quite tall enough. He has to stoop. He does without making a thing of it. She trembles. By this sign, he repeats, and he steps aside, and the mother goes left. A child clutches her skirts. The red strip on the mother's wrist drags the child like a leash. The kid with the collar stops tapping. She sniffs. It's deliberate. She tilts her head. "There," she says and points into the bodies with both fingers at once. The handler murmurs. He never stops murmuring. He keeps his hand on the box even when he rubs his thumb against her ear. A man in an apron looks up. He smiles, relieved. He thinks she's pointing to the space behind him, some gap. The kid points again, and her nail is a little cleaner than mine, and I see the ridges in it. Ew, she says a word that tastes like iron filings in the air. We move. The apron man stands there even as we take the child at his knee and put him left. I keep my mouth closed. The kid looks back down and resumes tapping the chain. Fisk says eyes in, and we look in. We don't look beyond the faces in front of us. Someone throws a canister, homemade, its tape flapping, and it spins and the metal bites deep into my thigh where it clips me. It doesn't explode. We step on it. Someone else throws an armful of packets, and the packets burst underfoot, and everything's sweet with sugar again, and our boots stick with syrup and ash. It makes a sound like chewing when we move. The black coat steps up and speaks into the loudhailer, and the words slide over us like a hand over a shaved skull. Listen, the gate is closed to unmarked. This city is under the hand. In compliance is peace. Do not take one step beyond the wire. Do not take one step. Someone on the other side takes one step. There are always those who do the thing they are told not to. The human head turns when you say don't look. He is a small man with a big coat, and he has a smile like a question, and he puts one boot on the first strand of wire. The wire bites. He doesn't stop. We don't shoot. We don't shoot because we don't have the order. We lean, we push. Get him, Fisk says, not to me, to Udo, closer. Udo reaches over and smacks the man's forehead with the back of his hand, fingers closed. The man goes down into his own feet, and we push him back with the rest. The smell shifts. Under the sugar and smoke, there's meat. There's always a point where it goes like that, and where the hand that moves in front of your face is not the hand that moves at your side anymore, because your mind and your body are dealing with different currents. I can hear myself breathing through the rebreather. The rubber tastes like old coins. I'm not the only one tasting it. On the 4th hour, the black coat lifts the rosette and the world tilts a degree. Quarantine, he says, and then he stops. He feels something we do not hear and looks toward the east. He means to look toward the horizon, but the smoke makes everything close, so he looks at the faces to the right of the cohort and sees nothing and keeps looking. The rosette turns in his fingers. He presses his thumb into the engraving like he could read by feel what is written there. The loud noise comes with no warning. It's an animal noise that has nothing to do with mouths, and the wall shakes and the rust dust comes down like cinnamon. People duck and then look up as if the sound were a thing they could see. The gate groans in its hinges, and a flake of the aquila cracks off and touches my wrist and sticks. I rub it off with the back of my glove, and the gold leaves a smear. Positions, Fisk says. Not loud, just enough. We drop, then rise, and my rifle slides into the pocket of my shoulder, and the iron sits like it belongs there. The battery in the stock hums, the charge ready as a taste in my teeth. From the east, a bright line falls in segments. Staggered. The ground counts them and shudders. Someone says bombardment, and someone else says ours, and ours doesn't settle the way it should. We look at the black coat. He has removed his glove, and his left hand is very clean. His nails are scrubbed, and the rosette glints even in this light. He speaks without the loudhailer, and still we hear. All quarantine is now purge. Fisk turns his head a fraction, enough to keep his eyes on the wire and the crowd and still see the mouth that said the word. He doesn't say anything. The priest starts a prayer and changes it mid-word and makes it a hymn of fire. The cogboy doesn't look up. The first shell catches somewhere inside the city, not here, and somewhere I have never been. The air rolls at us in a slow hand, and the gray ash on the mesh rises as one and hangs and returns. The candle on the engine block goes out. The priest doesn't notice his blood vessels in his neck stand like ropes and his hand shakes and the thumb twists the ring around his finger as he points to a shape I cannot see. And he has gone hoarse and it suits him, the words come out like stones. The loudhailer squeals once. The black coat doesn't flinch. He breathes in and sets the rosette down against his chest, and when he speaks again, he uses all the words the throat can make. Purge, he says. Fire. Fisk keeps his hand up for a heartbeat too long because he is a man whose muscles were taught mercy before we came here. The heartbeat is long enough for the bolt pistol behind us to cough. Fisk's cap lifts, the peak flips like a finger tapping his forehead, his head snaps. The hole looks round like a mouth and no sound comes out of it. Fisk's body takes him a sideways step, a dance step, and then he is at my boots. His blood has the heat of tea carried too quickly in winter. It goes under the tongue of my boot and the leather goes soft where it touches. I don't let my eyes track up the barrel of the bolt pistol because I know what is on the other end. I look at the wire. The pastor's hymn doesn't falter. Fire, the black coat says, and the vox crackles, and the word repeats, and the word is not a word anymore, it is a lever pushed down. If you wait until you think, you die. My finger squeezes because my finger has been taught to do what the word tells it to. The laser gun buckles into my shoulder and the light is a punch back into my teeth, and the man in the big coat with the smile like a question is the first thing my sights love. He folds without mystery. And behind him there is the woman in the gray veil and the child she tries to pull backward. And I am a good shot, and I am trained to aim center mass, and I am trained to change aim to smaller targets in sequence. And you do not think about the way the cloth jumps, and you do not think about the angle of an arm going up before it goes down. You do not think. The red tags flare like flags. The blue stamps blur. I do not pick red or blue or anything. My rifle knows the beat. To my left, Udo is firing and his burst length is perfect. He swears between shots because his mouth knows only two forms of talking. To my right, Corey is crying, not loud, not interfering, but her breath jitters and her barrel jitters with it, and her shot takes a woman in the cheek when she meant the chest. And the woman's head turns with the force and looks the wrong way on her body. The crowd goes out like a tide sucked by the wrong moon and then slams back. The wire goes not in one place but in three. The first two splits we repair with bodies, and the third we do not. Because bodies are not enough. They come through the gap like they are blades and we are cloth, and we cut into them anyway. Bayonets go on because there are times when what you do with your thumb in the notch of your blade is the only thing that keeps the day from ending differently. I take one in the chest with the stock, and his breath goes out with a word and his fingers close, and I break his grip and we step. The butt of my rifle finds ribs, finds hip, finds chin, and my arm aches and my mouth tastes of filtered blood. Behind us, the priest has stopped singing because he is out of breath and is now simply screaming, and it makes no difference. The cogboy fed power to his machine, and the blue worm has crawled farther. The edge of the platform is bright with it. A man slips on it and goes to his knees and leaves skin behind. The child with the collar looks calm. She is not calm. Her left hand claws. The handler croons and the box in his hand chatters like teeth. She points again, and men with coils of rope move toward where she points with hands that know they do not want to touch what they will touch. The shelling continues in the east. Things beyond my seeing burn with a flame you can't taste but you can hear, a thin shriek that carries under the rumble. Our own batteries answer this neighbor to the east, and the ground thinks it is going to tear itself. The dust goes into my mask like flour and breath. My eyelids scratch. "Hold!" someone says, and the word is ridiculous because no one is holding anything. We are making little islands in the flood, and the islands move. I shoot until I forget I am shooting, and then I am still shooting. I pinch a new pack between forefinger and thumb and slam it with the heel of my hand, and the light in my rifle's heart feeds, and I continue to present the front of my body to what comes. The world narrows and then widens and then narrows again. I know I will remember that the big coat man's tooth was chipped. I do not know why my mind filed that. Udo goes down. He falls like someone took his knees away with scissors. He doesn't shout, he just looks surprised that he is lower than he was. He clutches at his stomach, and the brown there looks like oil until his hands stir it. I don't bend. I don't move. I put my boot against his boot to make a triangle with the ground and use it to brace. He makes a sound I haven't heard a man make. Corey has stopped crying, her face is empty. She says words and I don't think she hears herself speaking them. The black coat has his bolt pistol low now, pointing at the line behind us, not the crowd. He's not aiming it. He is letting us see that he could. The rosette glints like fish scale when it moves. He doesn't have to shout discipline again, he said it when he put Fisk down, and that was what the word meant. The priest throws sanctified oil onto the pile of broken shrines they drag to the side and lights it. And the smell is meat and paint and tallow and something human. It's a sweetness that does not belong in any of it, and that is how you know it is a wrong sweetness. After there are fewer people moving on the other side, there are more on our side who are not moving. The wire hangs flat in a way that suggests it was never meant to be a line. It always was just metal. The aquila above the gate does not look like it did, but it still looks like a bird in your head because the head is stubborn, the ears ring. I hear the machine that the cogboy loves and the mutter of the handler and the hiss of the oil fire, and you could weave a song out of it if you had to. We go forward a few steps out of habit. You always go forward a few steps, you have to take the space. We push bodies with our boots because you cannot step without moving what is under your feet. You do not step on faces if you can avoid it, because later, it's when you sleep, that's what is behind your eyes. You step on shoulders and backs. The cloth of the jackets holds for more steps than bare skin. Clear, the black coat says into the vox. The word contains all the parts that have been taken away. Clear eastern approach. Purge contagion at gates. The word contagion shifts shape in my mouth. We never say what it is out here. It could be a sickness you carry in your breath. It could be a song you sing without knowing you learned it. It could be something that walks inside your shadow and makes your shadow taller. I don't know which it is. I am a soldier. I know what the muzzle of my rifle does. I know where the safety is by muscle memory. I know how to break an arm without breaking my own. I do not know what lives in the smoke. We advance because the word was clear. And you put your muzzle down and you poke under the edges of coats with it, and you feel for the tautness that means the man beneath is not going to move again. When someone does move, you put the buttstock down on the crown of the head because you are close. And that is what works here. You do it clean. You do not do it twice if you can help it. It is a waste to do it twice. Udo makes a mite of a sound for the first time, and then he does not. A little distance away, the medici partition is down. Behind it, there is not much. There are black buckets, the kind with wire handles. There is a smell that sticks in the roof of the mouth. The medici is sitting looking at his hands. His gloves are shredded. There are fingernails embedded in the rubber where someone gripped and was pulled, and the glove is now a glove of someone else's. He looks up at me and past me like I am glass. He wipes his hands on his knees. He reaches for a cigarette he doesn't have. We receive our next orders on the vox, and it sounds like words delivered down a long tunnel with someone beating on the walls. The words tell us to take Security Team 4 across to Hab Lateral D and cleanse. We can do that. I look for Fisk out of a habit older than this hour, and he is not here. Something in my chest remembers that he has a wife 2 terraces over. It makes no difference to the rifle in my hands. I feel the heat from the engine block. The candle there has guttered out, and the tallow is congealed in a wave that was fixed mid-break. The priest's breath is coming in grunts. He has to lift his robes to step. He is a smaller man without his voice. We form, because form means we will not infect each other with our uncertainty. Someone else takes Fisk's place, and they don't have his slouch, but the words they say are the same. Check, check. The Chimera's ramp drops, and the weight makes the ground speak. The gray-collared child looks at us, and in her eyes there are just the rooms inside her head that are empty, and where things move sometimes that are not hers. She rubs at the link as if it itches. The handler licks his lips. He does it as if he has no skin on them. We move through the gate we held. On the other side, the city feels like a place that has been turned inside out. The inside is on top. There is a spray of glass like frost. The murals that used to be bright are washed in smoke water, and the saints' eyes are rimmed with soot. And we step over the displaced shrine. Somebody knocked it into the gutter, the little tin saint with its hammered head. And the smell of private oil spills under the smell of public burning. Underfoot, sugar crunches. Someone took their ration bars and broke them on the asphalt when they thought we would not shoot. I think I still feel the grit of sweetness under my boot, a thin layer that sticks and does not. We go into the cross street that makes Hab lateral D an angle. The doors are all open. The doors have been forced. We fall into doorway order, 2 in, 2 covering, 2 ready to step. The priests we keep at our backs because when they see a thing they must speak to it, and sometimes that is not what keeps a line alive. Inside the first Hab the air is warmer. The window is cracked and lets the wind find the room, and there is a pot that boiled dry, and the metal at the bottom of it looks like fish scales. There is a chair with one leg shorter than the other, and it shudder wobbles though no one touches it because something big moved past the building and made everything here remember movement. The bed has been pulled away from the wall, and there is a hole under it where a child kept something illegal that wasn't worth hiding in the end. The child is under the table, small enough to fit in a drawer no one uses, and the child's eyes are the color of bread before you cut into it. Out, says Corey. The word sticks. The child does not move. Corey sets her the barrel of her rifle as if setting a spoon next to a plate. The child looks at it as if it is a tool for eating. The red strip is around the child's wrist, neat knot. Someone tried to untie it and failed. In the knot is a priest's knot. The child puts his hand to his throat because that is where he keeps things that matter. There is a thin chain with a medallion, pressed tin, the face of something with too much light in it. He puts it in his mouth as if to keep it from moving. We are supposed to cleanse. We cleanse. You do not take this one and not the next if both wear the red. You cannot eat half the poison and live. I do not know if it is a sickness or a song or something that steps behind. I know the yellow of the child's nails and the dirt under them. I know the way my finger curls without being told. Do it, someone says behind me. And it is not my new sergeant, and it is not the priest. It is the black coat. He stepped in without any of us hearing him because some people step in like that, and he holds out his bolt pistol as if it is a thing you could take like sharing bread. He smiles, a small smile, and I wonder if the skin of his face is tight. He rotates his wrist and the weight of the pistol levers up, the handle toward me. No, I say, but my voice thinks it said yes because I take the weapon. It is heavier than the laser gun in a way that is very particular. It is weight in the wrong places. It has bones where things should be light. The grip is chewed and chewed again. The trigger is clean. My finger sinks into the groove worn by other fingers. I know the sound it will make. I know that my hands will be sticky with what it does, and it will be sticky in the way that lasts. You will do it, the black coat says, and he is not angry. It is worse that he is not angry. He speaks as if I have already done it. And the rosette hangs against his chest, and it rises with his breath. It reflects the candlelight somehow, even though there is no candle here. The child's face is without stubbornness, which makes it harder. Stubbornness is easier to kill. The child is ready to make himself small in the bullet's path. He squints because that is what eyes do when they try to hold back the world. He holds the medallion against his tongue. I raise the pistol. The muzzle looks very wide because I am too close to the looking. I do not make up words for this. I do not make a speech to him or to myself. The truth presses. It makes the finger move. The hand knows what it is for. The thing that keeps me from becoming something else is that I angle the shot. I put it through the ear and into the wall. The bolt does too much. It makes a short, bright flower on the plaster. It is mercy done by the wrong tool. The noise cracks my teeth. The child's body jumps and then becomes a weight that pulls the tablecloth with him. A plate slides and does not break. The medallion falls on the floor. The chain hangs from his mouth like the thread on a garment you always meant to fix. Good, the black coat says. He takes his pistol back. He wipes the smear from the grip with his sleeve, even though it does not need wiping. He does not bless me. He does not look into the corner where the light doesn't fall. He is careful not to let his boot touch the pool of what is there. The printer on his belt, the little one that stamps authority on papers, has ink around the seal. He is not angry. It is worse that he is not. He leaves the room. Corey makes a sound like a piece of wire being twisted but does not stop. She lifts the cloth, sees. He drops it, moves, we move. We have a corridor to clear. We have stairs to cleanse. The habit bites deeper and the thoughts scuttle to corners. In the lift well, a man with a respirator smashed against his face leans with the fiction that it still seals. I recognize him. He sold tripe on the 3rd terrace, a string of boiled meats like beads, steam, and pepper in air. He told a joke to me in a monotone voice as if he were reciting inventory. I laughed then. He looks at me now the way you look at a wall because a wall cannot help you. He has no red tag. Someone tied a blue ribbon too tight around his thumb long ago and it looks like a grub. He holds up a paper with a stamp. The stamp is good. It is a blue stamp. It is crumpled by the time his hand reaches me. Even the black coat is not here to tell us whether the stamp still means what it meant when he pressed it. The shelling stole meaning from many things. Back, I say. There is nowhere for him to go back to. He goes left because left is the side where the red went. He goes there even though he is blue because the path is smoother. It has been steps already. He vanishes into a room that smelled of bread. On the 3rd landing, there is fire. Flamers wash a room entire. The flame has a voice when it takes fabric. It is different when it takes hair. The priest intones names of saints that come out as steam. The flamers out of fuel make beautiful, soft, dry clicks. The men carrying them jog backward and drop canisters, the empties rolling a clock rhythm on the stair. We are the ones to step forward because our rifles drink electricity, not liquid. Yet we do not run dry until the battery is empty and the optic goes to a little line. I change my pack when the line is a hair and then I change it again because we will not find another box soon and I am hoarding like an animal while my brain still uses words. We finish the hab, and the next is easier because the angle is right and the rooms are smaller and the people in them have already left. The floor is a mess of broken cheap statues. The saints' hands are gone. Someone has a pocket full of hands now, little lead and tin hands blessing no one. The window in the 3rd room is masked with a poster. The man on the poster is painted to be a god. He has too many hands also, and they are all raised. His eyes follow you wherever you go. When you peel the poster back for a window, either the glue goes with a slow peel like skin, the eyes stretch long and then tear. We go down again. There is a place after the fighting where doing still happens. You move bodies, you ready crates. You feel for pulses and sometimes you use the bayonet for that. Corey scrapes her knuckles on the edge of an overturned table. She doesn't notice. The skin peels and her blood bubbles and dries. The cogboy comes through with a servo that hums at a pitch that makes my molars ache. It sniffs at the outlets and sucks at wires. He taps his cog. He asks for energy. We give him packs we feel with our fingers are almost full because he will take them anyway. And it is better to make the giving look clean. Out in the street again, the smoke is thicker. The sky is a ceiling we could touch if we climbed. And the Aquila at the gate is missing its beak entirely now. It looks like two hands reaching for each other and not there yet. Udo's body is a shape with a tarp on it. The tarp is too small, his feet stick out. The soles of his boots show the tread is worn. He had a letter in his pocket, the corner peeks from under his belt. I do not take it. You do not take letters. They burn with the rest, and you do not read the burning. The black coat stands where Fisk used to stand. He doesn't have to speak into the loudhailer now. The city carries his voice in the architecture. He says words like sector secured and hive vent sealed, and someone on the other end returns confirmed. He says asset, and it could mean the child with the collar, or it could mean the generator, or it could mean me. The child is sitting on the Chimera again, and she is not tapping the chain now. Her hand lies open on her knee and the skin is shiny where the metal rim rubbed. The handler is whispering, always whispering. He might be counting, he might be apologizing, he might be praying. The words are a string without knots that catch. We eat. It is a habit. Corey hacks through her ration bar without tasting. She chews and swallows and the muscles in her jaws squeak. I crack the seal with my teeth. The taste is familiar as rust. You chew until your spit is a paste and it moves. The sugar we stepped on earlier is in the lines on my palm. It turns wet when I grip. I lick my glove because I cannot help it. The salt there like weeping. It is not a good idea to do that. I do it anyway, it is a habit from other times. After that we stand. There is no word for what we are doing. You stand until your legs shake and then you shift your weight to another point. The engines rumble. The machine hums. The fire whispers under the drum of the shells. The shells do not stop. They will not stop for hours. They hit where we cannot see and make things simple by removing them. We are simple here by adding weight to the pile. Numbers, the new sergeant says, we count. You count and you say a name by pushing it into the number. When the number comes up and there is no voice to put into it, you say the number again. We do that twice and then we stop because the black coat looks at us and his eyes are not interested in our pieces of grief. He wants present and we give present. He nods as if it is something else entirely. He smiles, that tiny smile that wears no kindness and a lot of skin. In the corner of the gate, a man with a bag over his head kneels. The cloth is stained around the mouth. A commissar stands behind him and speaks into his ear very softly. The man nods as if he understands and then does not and then does again, a little. The commissar is a new one I haven't seen. He has a fat braid and his teeth are very even. He turns the man's head gently and places the muzzle where the skull is thinnest. We all turn away because turning away is allowed when this happens. The report is small compared to flame and shells. The man's body goes forward and is still for the first time in the day. The commissar wipes his glove with a cloth that was white once. He cleans his pistol with reverence. He speaks to no one. He is not angry. It is worse that he is not angry. He meets my eye because my head turned back too soon and he saw that. He holds me in that look until I look away because he is an officer like that. He is a man who will make sure the words stick. We form again for a push across to the processing yard. They call it a yard as if children play there. It is where people are made into specific things. The cogboy's machine is on a trolley now. It rolls with a squeal and stops every few meters so he can grease it with something that glows lightly. He is humming. He could be humming a prayer. He could be humming the sound of voltage through a copper coil. He stops by a body whose arm is stuck under a wheel. He measures the time it would take to move the wheel and the time it would take to remove the arm, and he chooses, and his servo saw lifts bright. He cuts with care. He pads the stump with cloth that was once a banner. He marks the body with a chalk line to say it has been handled. He does not look at the face. I begin to understand something without knowing a word for it. It sits in my stomach where food sits. It is heavy. It changes my posture. The posture means I will do the next thing I am told to do because that keeps me upright. The trick is in my hands. My hands obey. The obedience moves up my arms very slowly. The world is not the way it is described in the posters. It is the way our bodies make it when we move where they point. In the yard there is a pit. It was dug for other reasons, drainage or roots of pipes, and now it is a pit. We stack. We stack men here. We stack women and what they were carrying, and we stack the parts that came off them because it is important to keep the street clear. But you do not stack like bricks because bodies do not stack well. You stack like a pile of timber you might need to burn later. You brace with the big bones. You make them fit. Your hands learn the weight of the world in handfuls. It comes with the smell. The priest does not stop. He has not lost his voice, though it is shredded. It is an amazing thing, a man's voice like that. 2 Munitorum men come with a bin and pick through belts and pockets. They are quick. They take rings and tags and old coins, and they put them in bags with neat loops of twine. They move like pickers at a market, except the market is this. One of them finds a red paper with a coiled stamp, and he smiles like someone who sees a small, beautiful thing. He pockets it quick, neat. He thinks no one saw. I saw, but I do not call him. Yet he will not outlive this day in the way that matters. He will outlive it in the way that means his body will breathe again tonight. The paper has no use for him. He will sleep with it under his tongue. The cogboy comes to me and says, "Last pack." I give him 2 without being asked. He takes an arm at the same time, holding it like a tool he has no name for. He looks at me without seeing. His eyelids click when he blinks, and it is not something you see if you do not look closely. You look too closely when you are tired because your mind loses its filter. "Efficient," he says. And it could be about me or the machine or the way the day turned. The shelling stops suddenly, like someone remembering to turn something off. The world hears itself again and shudders. The silence has weight too. It is not real, it will end. And we know it, and we do not relax, because relaxing is a thing you can only do on a floor that is not this one. The air is unclean. My tongue is black. If I run my finger along my gum, it comes away with soot. The child with the collar is being led on a leash of cable toward the next sector. She is very light. The handler holds the cable like a father holds a rope for a boat. He never looks behind. He speaks to her in nonsense, like you speak to a dog or to someone asleep you do not want to wake. The priest stops him and marks her forehead with a smear of ash, using his thumb as a stamp. The handler nods and thanks him with the wrong end of the sentence. The black coat watches this like a man watches other men hammer a nail. He marks nothing. He speaks into the vox instead. He says confirmed. He says continue. He says compliance. We lighten packs. And we take new canisters from a crate. Corey scratches at the skin under her collar and winces. Her skin has blistered without her asking. She drains a flask that is not from regulation. I do not ask who she got it from. The new sergeant tells her to pace herself. He tells all of us to pace ourselves. His hands shake once and then are still. He's read a book about this once. It will not help him in any way that matters. The sun does not break the smoke. If someone told me it did, I would not believe them. The only light that gets in is a kind that seems not to belong to a star, like the light from a welding torch in a dark room. The shells we heard will scar this place in ways we will not see because we will move and not be here when the cracks show. And we will be somewhere else making other cracks. We dump the last of the broken statues into the pit. A man's hand with 3 fingers and the thumb gone drops and clicks against a skull. I think of the hands in pockets. I think of Udo's feet. I think of Fisk's cap with its peak flipped up like a salute. I do not think of the child's ear. I will think of it when the breathing machine is the only noise and the color behind my eyelids is what it is. For now, the habit keeps the thoughts like dogs behind a gate with a chain you don't trust. The black coat walks past me. He looks at the smear on my cheek with professional interest. He has 3 flecks of dried blood on his cuff, and he does not brush them away. He says good soldier as if saying good dog. He means it. He does not know the parts that moved inside my hand. He couldn't. That is not his job, and he does not exist for that. He exists to say the word and have a hand move. My hand moves. It is the truth. He says the Imperium, and then he does not because the Vox says something that makes him change shape. He turns and everything in his body is about moving to where his mouth will put the next word into the air. He leaves with the rosette moving against his chest, tick-ticking like a thing that counts. There is a moment before we move where nothing else happens. The oil fire subsides, the flames are short. The drips from the overhead run into each other and the lines they make are like writing I cannot read. My glove is off. I took it off to feel a pulse and I did not put it back on. My hand is black. The sugar grit on my palm is dissolved into a tacky film and now every little bit of ash falls and sticks there. When I flex, it pulls. Either in the hairs on the back of my wrist or glued down in lines. The skin has a taste of old copper. I rub 2 fingers together and a flake of gold paint lifts and clings to the pad of my index finger. It must have come from the Aquila when part of it fell earlier. It shines a little in light that should not know shining. I touch it to the stock of my rifle without quite knowing why. It leaves a tiny crescent. I press my thumb against it to smear it into the grain and the paint wipes, leaving under it the old scratches, the gouges where metal once met bone. "Move," says the new sergeant. The word comes as it always does. It is a simple word. It is a word a body can obey. I close my hand and the gold flake crumbles, sticks to the sweat at the line where my fingers fold. And then I lift the rifle and the weight of it settles into the place my shoulder keeps for it. And I step in time with Corey because if I do not, I will not move like a single person among the rest. And to come apart now means falling to pieces where we stand. I chew what's left of the ration bar in my cheek and the sweetness, old and chemical, blooms again, and the taste of ash beats it down. The stock's wood is slick, and the scratch where the paint went is smooth under my thumb. I move with the line, and I do not look up at the Aquila as we pass under it. The breath through the mask makes its own fog. The fog condenses and drips along the rim, and when I tilt my head to check my sight, 1 drop lets go and hits the back of my hand and runs toward the crease at the base of my thumb. And it picks up a flake of gold as it goes and sits there in the valley. I keep moving and it doesn't fall.